Hi guys, you're welcome back to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for deciding to come and watch my video. You made a very wonderful decision to do that. And if this is not your first time, thank you so much. You already know how grateful I am. You know that I am deeply grateful. God bless you real good. So today I'm going to talk about a suggested topic. Someone suggested that I talk about this issue, which is on the subject of modesty. And before I go into the topic or delve into sharing my points, I want to first of all say something or give an analogy, or give, it's not really an analogy, it's practically a situation that I have heard people recount time and again, and it's on the subject of students maybe on campus. Sometimes you hear some students who live in the hostel say things like, my roommates don't like me because they think I'm too holy, because of how I dress, because I'm not like them, because I don't do this and that, because I'm, and things like that. And I know that for all the times that I was in university for my first degree and my second degree, I never had such experience. I never had such experience. And so I find it strange. But I have found out something that is very peculiar about, or that is very common with people who have shared this kind of experience with me. And I pray I don't forget along the way to say the reason why I think they may be experiencing things like this, which isn't quote unquote, so which may not entirely be the case for every single situation. So I'll talk about that later, but let me go straight into the subject for today, which is about modesty. Now, the perspective from which I'm coming is not to entirely tell you what modesty looks like, quote and unquote, or it's not to box it in a particular way and say, if it's not this way, that way, if you're not doing it this way, if you're not putting on this type of, and things like that. No, it's not necessary or not entirely to do it that way, but it's to talk about certain things concerning it, or certain notions that people have concerning the subject. Now, the thing about modesty is this: a lot of people assume that to project or to show that you are Christian enough, or to be identified as a Christian, it should show in your appearance. You should look it. If you're not looking it, then that's questionable. Now, we can look at it from two ways. But one point that I would like to note from this is the fact that modesty does not start first from the appearance. It starts first from the inward part of us. It starts first from our mindsets. It starts first from the working of Christ in our lives, and then it reflects outward, first in our love for God and our love for people. So if you are trying to be modest and it's not evident how much you love God, and it's not evident how much you love other people, whether they are Christians or not, then that modesty is questionable. So the thing about being modest is that it's not a form of how you look on the outward, as against the more important thing, which is what happens inside of you reflecting outward. So a lot of people try to work out salvation by the acts that they can project, by their activities, by the way they look, by how they speak, and things like that. so that they can appear modest. But the thing about trying to do these things by yourself, your own self, is that the flesh will fail you time and time again. That's the thing. The flesh will fail you over and over again. So if you don't have the real transformation or the real salvation in your heart, and you're trying to do the outer part, it's just a pseudo salvation, it's just a pseudo transformation. It's you trying to do something that looks like you have been renewed or your life has been changed, but it's not you being changed by the power of God, with the help of God. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So if you're going to talk about modesty at all, if you're going to mention, if you're going to focus on anything that has to do with modesty, you should first understand that it starts from inside. It's not something that you do by yourself. Do you understand? So that, because if you are doing things, if you're now dressing a certain way and you're doing things a certain way, and people are questioning why you are doing those things, and you can't give valid points about how it's the working on your inside that is reflecting the things that they can see on the outside, then what's the use? Do you understand? So it's very important to note that. And another thing that I would like to mention is that, which will help me buttress on that short talk I first of all mentioned when we started, is that if you don't understand how modesty is as a reflection of the love, like it's from you first loving God genuinely and loving people, you begin to only identify with people who appear the way you appear, who wear long apparels, who tie their scarf and things like that, who don't do certain things. You begin to identify with only those people as the people you should identify with, and then you begin to subtly judge other people who are not doing these things. And it's important to note that a place where love comes from, a place where you love God, a place that shows how much of God's love has been dwelt richly in you, or has been embedded richly in you, we will not judge the things that other people do. Do you understand? It's not in your place to begin to say, oh, this person isn't dressing this way, so to begin to give them attitude, to begin to seclude yourself or isolate yourself from this kind of people because they don't look like you, because they don't appear like the way that you appear. So it's important that you have it in mind that someone who is modest loves God and loves other people and reflects the love of God in every other thing that they do, in their activities, in how they dress, in everything. Do you understand? So it is not how they dress or how they appear that affects their hearts, or that affects how in tune they are with God, or how sincere their salvation is, or how genuine their salvation is. Do you understand the point I'm trying to make? So that's very, very important, because the thing about that is, you know, those people who have said or who have mentioned to me in past about how their roommates don't like to relate with them and things like that. The thing is, I'll ask, have you checked your attitude? You may appear a certain way, but how is your attitude? Do you show genuine love to other people? Do you accommodate other people around you? Do you understand? Are you the one, when someone mistakenly sits on your bed, they have to jump up fast and smoothing the bed, because once you come back, you're going to be very, very upset at whosoever sat on your bed? Or you can't share your bucket with someone, or you can't, what you want them to see the light in you. You want them to see Christ in you, and you want them to embrace that light that you have found. Do you understand the point I'm trying to drive at? If your attitude, which is supposed to have been regenerated by you being saved, is even worse than when you were not saved, if your attitude is that way, how then do you expect other people to see that light in you, or to be drawn by how modest you look on the outside, when inward, like, nobody should even try you, because you understand. So it's very, very important. It's very, very important. If if your roommates in the hostel are saying, oh, your own is too much, you are dressing like Holy Mary and things like that, if they are not saying the core, which is like the most important thing inside, and all they see is just your outward appearance, if they are saying things that Jesus will not reflect if he were here, then you need to check yourself. Because even in the Bible, we know that the type of people who came to Jesus, normally they couldn't even go close to where the Pharisees were, because they knew that the Pharisees would judge them. But Jesus received the prostitute, the one that collects bribe when he's collecting tax, like all sorts of people, the thief. And do you get how come it was easy for them to be able to go to Jesus and to be able to understand that he could empathize with them easily, than the Pharisees who knew the law, who had the law close to them and things like that? How come? So it's important that your modesty should reflect Christ in you. Modesty should reflect Christ in you in every single area of your life, and it should start from within. Do you understand? So that's the perspective in which I am coming from, because I know that there are so many videos on YouTube, or there'll be so many materials that would talk about dressing and talk about how you appear and things like that. And instead of repeating the same thing that people have said, I thought to bring a new perspective to it. So, and this, when another notion that I would like to correct is that when people think about modesty, they think about only women, they think about only ladies, and that modesty is not feminine, it's not masculine, rather. Men do not, it even feels like men who are modest are acting girly and things like that, which is very, very wrong. Modesty is for everyone. It's for us all. It's not gender biased. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So that's basically all that I thought to share concerning this subject. I hope that you found these points insightful, and I hope that you reflect upon them, and may God help us all so that we can be true lights, and may he walk in our hearts. And if there are walls in our lives that do not project true modesty, which is love for God and love for people, may he break those walls and help us so that we can indeed be modest in the true sense of it, or in the way that Christ would be if he were here with us. Thank you so much for watching. Do have a lovely weekend and week ahead. God bless you real good. Bye.